Hi, how are you? This is Megan. This is our second video, so welcome. We're going to talk today, the videos could be sometimes just about animals or just about our roles in the lives of the animals or what's going on with us and how we can address certain issues in our lives to help improve the lives of animals. So it could be a little of both or just more in one, kind of, I guess, where I'm at that day and what I feel like posting about. Um, a big thing is animals, since they do have open hearts, they do help us heal. I mean, you think of therapy horses and, therapy dogs, therapy chickens, therapy many animals that go to nursing homes, hospitals, or sometimes people with disabilities will go to a stable, ride horses, or just pet some animals, and they've showed marked to very significant improvements in their health, like a rehabilitation therapy, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And the animals, I think, get the benefit too of just the human contact. A lot of places that I've worked with are more like a rescue sanctuary for the animals. And it's kind of a win-win when you compare the animal and the person from a similar background or just not being balanced in a certain way. And then you pair them together and then it's just beautiful. You can see healing in both. And it's a remarkable thing to witness when you see an animal or a person just come out of something they've been struggling with, something that they endured in their background. Um, so a little bit about that. And it's just the way animals, like I said, can bring in the healing, the openness. A lot of times, as people will just be able to open up to them a little more, maybe be more affectionate, more loving, and it's hard to do that with people in our lives. So it's definitely, myself included, have been able to express myself more easily and openly to my animals or my client animals. Um, and I think a little bit at a time, it helps open your heart. And then that kind of branches out to how we treat animals in every aspect of, farm animals to animals in entertainment, research, clothing, experimentation. That it's a lot to cover, and I know a lot of people have different opinions about it. With all the billions of people on the planet, we're all not going to agree on it. But I think personally, my opinion is that if we wouldn't do it to ourselves, to our family, then why would we do it to another species? Whether it's how we raise an animal for food. I just simply break it down to take out the animal, put a human in there, and would it sound right to do? Now, I know there's human right violations throughout the world. There's tribes, cultures that may not even be known that are maybe in some part of the world where they were able to keep kind of a low profile, and maybe they're just not known, but or just anywhere in the world, or just how humans, crime rate, human against human, we do to each other is horrific. So when you factor in an animal, which people will tend to, with that type of mindset where they just figure it's an animal, and many horrible stories that I've witnessed and worked in healing animals on the other side of that abuse. So it's kind of definitely going to be a channel to help those stories be heard and maybe positively influence people to spread the word as far as, I want to say it's not right, because what's right for me, wrong for me is right and wrong. It's different for someone else, but I basically want to just come at this where if we wouldn't do it to ourselves, to our family, our parents, our kids, whomever, why would we do it to somebody else who's not a human? If they're weaker than us, or you want to say that an animal isn't as intelligent as you, well, I personally don't believe that that's grounds to inhumanely treat them, slaughter them, kill them, torture them, abuse them. So this is just my accounts of, again, my personal animals and client animals and research I've done in many years of just consulting with other experts. And it's astounding how if you just simply put in the human factor, take out the animal, put the human in that situation, and most times you would say, well, that's not applicable to a human. You shouldn't be doing that to a human, but yet we do it to animals. So my hopes is that there's just spreads awareness and that it does affect animals, and animals that are, they fight to live, they fight for their babies, they fight to protect themselves and their offspring and their siblings, and they will protect another that's being mistreated. You know, they'll try just like we would try. So this definitely has my heart, and I just hope that I can reach some people that maybe agree, and we can build strength in our own community, and maybe just shed light on this, and somehow just spread the awareness, right? That's how change happens, is when you know something, you learn something, well, now you know it. You can't unknow it. You can certainly ignore it, not work on it, or not acknowledge it, especially when it is something painful and gruesome, and you don't want to admit that it happens. And I know our lifestyle choices also revolve around that. Um, I remember the first looking into getting my list. I forget from where. Maybe it was some animal rights organization a long time ago, and they give you a list of the products when it seemed to be pretty new, of what you can buy, from cosmetics to, you know, shampoos and personal care products, and you know what was animal tested, what wasn't, what were safe products that weren't animal tested to buy. And that was helpful for me, and that was the start of many changes I had made in my life back then. And it's I think just a rude awakening. I think when where I am, geese are everywhere, and they congregate to even supermarket parking lots right off main highways with exit and entrance ramps, and around a corner and there's a goose trying to cross the road. And it's, I think there's different people. You have the ones that will stop. I mean, that's what I do. A lot of times I'll get out of the road and try to shoo them along if possible, to try to speed them up. But then you have those long lines where the ones are still eating and they're not ready to cross, and the ones are already on the other side. Some are in the middle of the road. It's really stressful, and I do what I can without getting hit myself. But you have the people that will stop. You have the people that will just kind of beep and drive through, and then you have the ones that just drive through, and clearly the ones that just don't see them. We have our, you know, our cell phones and everything preoccupying us. But it's you know, something as simple as that. I always would liken that to, if you saw a family of people, or just a little child stuck in the middle of the road, would we still do the same thing? Just drive right by them, or just beep, hope they got out of the way, never braking in our car, and just driving through them, hoping they're, or believing that they'll get there, they'll get out of the way. So um, I don't mean to keep repeating that, but I think if you just put in the human into where the animal is, and you see that it kind of changes the story. I think maybe just a little bit more awareness is needed to see that it's something that would help, I think, the animals in general, again, in every aspect of animals being raised for food, and all other areas, that we just treat them with more respect. I mean, ideally, I would love to just see in all these animals, if they just died naturally, and then you use them for food. I mean, I don't want to get into that kind of argument, and that's very, very personal subject, what someone eats. But I think once you see the videos of how the animals are treated, and again, just simply put in a person in that situation, you wouldn't want your family, your kids, your siblings to be going through that type of horrific treatment. And I don't know what the solution is, and I know that's disrespectful to animals too, to even have said that, where, let them live out their natural lives, let them kick and scratch and dirt bathe and feed in grass and be in the sunshine, not in shackles and in any kind of confinement cages or stalls, and just let them be happy. And I don't know if that's the right answer. I'm trying to come up with this too, because I've seen many videos where reporters and documentarians will stop people on the street and ask them, as an example, you love your dog, right? Yes, they'll say. And, would you eat your dog, or would you allow someone to eat your dog? And they would say, no, that's not acceptable. But there are cultures that do. So again, it's very highly personalized and refined to who you would individually ask. So it's not a subject I'm touching about whether or not to eat meat, because that's not going to do anything here except just infuriate some people. And we don't need the negative comments. This is all about love and just spreading the awareness, sharing compassion and kindness to everyone, human, animal, and everyone that's on the planet. Any, animal, fish, human, anybody, whether you're in the ocean, on the land, just show kindness to each other. I think it's our responsibility, as the human race, if we're top of the line, so to speak, that we look out for those who can't defend themselves, who can't necessarily speak for themselves. Although the work I also do is the intuitive communication part. So they do speak, the animals do speak. They have their own language with their own kind, whether they bark, chirp, meow. And they also have just the energy, which they nail down. They are energetic beings way beyond what we are. I mean, we're energetic beings too, but that they're just so in tune to the energies around them. They have that sixth sense, so they know. That's why you can see a hawk sitting next to a mourning dove on a power line, and they're fine. But as soon as that hawk's energy turns to it's in hungry mode and starting to hunt, that mourning dove is going to get out of there. So it's the energies that we may not pick up on, but the animals pick up on with us. And I think if my wish is that we as humans would be more in tune to those energies, our instincts, our intuition, and really feel, is this right? What's being done to this animal? And if we were really to do those checks and balances within ourselves, most oftentimes we would see that there's just so much going on in the world, the injustices to the animals, that we would hopefully just feel that it's not right, and maybe speak up, do something about it, make choices that reflect it in the buyer's market, where choices that you make, that you purchase from, are more ethical. And that would tell companies or research facilities and whatnot, your power is through your dollar. So that was basically the point of this video, was just that, seeing ourselves and the way we treat animals. And even with factory workers that are in the slaughterhouses, and looking the other day about, they have a high suicide rate, and just, they're forced into these lines of works where maybe they need it and it's the only job in the area. And when they're in it and they're doing the same repetitive job every day of taking a life, and usually very cruelly and just abusively, and what they have to hear and witness and feel and smell, how they take that home with them, and it just becomes such a part of them, where they get it, and that affects a human as well. So it's not just what is done to the animal, but what's also done to the person. And all it does is, I think, proliferates more hurt, and just that anger and the diseased thinking, then that you just, it's not good. So I hope that we can, just as a human species, wake up, to not just treating the animals better, to treating ourselves better as well. Okay, so thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you.